恭请大德圣听，为此法会及一切众生，请转妙法轮教导我们，如何了生脱死，离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahadi sanmyao sanputosye.
Namo sadanto suchedoye aladi samya sampudosye.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. There. I knew we'd find that. There we go. Well done. Good evening, everybody. My name is Heng. Tonight is Saturday, June the 1st, the first day of June. It is Sunday, June the 2nd in Queensland, Australia. And I'm glad to be back. It's been a while since we've explained the Avatamsaka Sutra from this hall. We had to get all the pieces together, and I want you all to appreciate the incredible balancing act that is this Sutra lecture, all the different systems that have to be in place before we're satisfied that we're doing our best. So to continue, here we go, continue with our protocol. Am I sharing my screen? Not yet. Thank you for that. There we go. And probably I'm also don't have my original sound on. There we go. Don't need the original sound. Okay. Turn off original sound. We'll make it work, by golly. We've only done it 100 times. Here we go. Here we are. We'll close that one. There we go. Okay. Hey, let's see now. We have to check in with Australia. Let's see here. Australia is in position and ready. Cliff, would you give me a nod that you are hearing us and seeing us? And if not, we'll fix that. So among the systems that are happening here, my words in English are going off to the Gold Coast to Queensland, where they're being translated into Chinese and rebroadcast out to about 180 or 90, that is, listeners in China, Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Malaysia, all good, yes, from Australia. At the same time, my words in English are being translated into Vietnamese on a separate channel for the usually 30 or so plus Vietnamese listeners. So those are hardworking volunteers who are, by this time they know all my jokes. because they've heard them over and over again, and they're getting better at translating them just by repetition. So that's a good thing, even though the jokes are stale. But at the same time, you'll see here in front of you, we've got a camera going over to the computer and live streaming out to YouTube. And the camera above, the webcam, is capturing the room so that you all can see what's on my computer. So all of these systems have to be in place. So, good. Chinese side works well. I'll say it does. Okay. Now, let us continue with our protocols. Tonight, the content, the Avatamsaka Sutra tonight is just great. So I can't wait to share with you what I've uncovered in the sequence of instructions that are happening to a Buddhist pilgrim whose name is Sudana. So let's get to it. We'll do it this way. We're short one microphone, so we'll do without the instrument. This is an invocation, and the idea is, we just had, Ananda just requested me to be the mouthpiece for the sutra, and I'm happy to do that. Now, in turn, together, we invite the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and the Dharma protectors. It's called the gods, the dragons, and the Eightfold Pantheon, Tianlong Babu, Hufa Shanshan, to draw near the monastery. And wherever you are listening, whether you're hearing this a week later on YouTube or whether you're tuned right in Vietnamese or Chinese, we're asking those august multitudes to come and shed light and to give everyone who is listening sincerely blessings and well-being. So we can all put our palms together. If you care to do so, join me. Here we go. Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa Nam Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. One more. Da Fang Guang Fo Hua Yan Jing Hua Yan Hai Hui Fo Pu Sa. Furthermore, not yet. Because this has to correlate to 3 different locations. That's why we keep goofing it up every time. It's never quite the right order. There we go. All right. We would like to acknowledge the Chochenyo Ohlone people who practice their spiritual connections to the earth and all creation here on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional storytellers, custodians of these lands. We offer our respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations peoples whose sovereignty was never ceded. 那就是说，我们恭敬地承认Chochenyo Ohlone的人，他们是我们寺院所在地的传统叙事和守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没有放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Then we go back to the bell song, hey, which is right there. 哎，相当不方便吧 Okay, here we go. Now we need a bell. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000界内，佛法扬万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益报贪我后的。Okay, that does it for. There we go. Thank you. Okay. Now we have. There we go. All right. Let's see. You don't want to look at that, but let's look at Guanyin instead. There we go. So for those Avatamsaka junkies like myself who are keeping up with this story, let me get us ready for tonight. And for those of you who are here maybe for the first time or who come regularly but haven't seen me for quite a while, let me get us up to speed. We are investigating something that a lot of people don't know exists, which is Mahayana Buddhism's epic literature. If you ever took any literature classes in your schooling, you probably heard about epics. Epics are stories about pilgrims, people who are on a spiritual search, people for whom life as it just came to them wasn't enough. They wanted to go deeper. They wanted to go further. So they set out, and epics usually involve a journey. Usually there's travel involved. And you cover ground, you cover time. Usually there's some sort of crisis and the hero gets wounded. Wounded heroes are a big thing in epics. And there is usually a wholesome resolution at the end, most often. If you want to know what is an epic, think the Odyssey, right? Think Gilgamesh is one of the oldest ones from where Turkey meets Iran. And the Rime of the Ancient Mariner is an epic in rhymed form. Buddhism has an incredible epic story at the end of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the Flower Garland Sutra. How come we don't know about it if it's such a big deal? The answer is it's only been in Chinese to this day and in Sanskrit. So you had to read one of these classical languages if you ever hope to meet it. Now, we had the benefit of our teacher, Master Shren Hua, who for 9 years of his life, every single night for 90 minutes, opened the Avatamsaka Sutra and said, pay attention, this is good, this is important. And twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday, he explained the Avatamsaka Sutra. It took him 9 years to get the whole thing from start to finish. And So we who were, ex-hippies or still hippies in San Francisco in the 70s, were introduced to this incredible literature, just amazing story. And here's how it shakes down. There's 39 chapters, or sometimes they count 40, depending on which edition of the text you have. And the first 38, so from chapter 1 to chapter 38, is the stories of how to practice the Bodhisattva path. Now that's a power word in our school. Bodhisattva, the awakened being. How awakened beings live, how they behave, even how they think. The sutra takes us right into their minds, so we get to encounter real bodhisattvas. And it's all about method. How do you do it? Techniques. So there's the 10 dwellings, there's the 10 practices, there's the 10 transferences, there's the 10 stages. Oh my goodness. Each one of these 10 is a way of life, is an attitude, is a guidelines for going from ordinary person, as we are here, to bodhisattvas, who are, you could say, the finest humans ever to walk the planet. And who are bodhisattvas? It's you, it's me, it's Uncle John and Aunt Sue, who from their hearts resolve to become unselfish and to help others as their priority. That's how a bodhisattva starts. And there's nobody who will show up and say, I'm a bodhisattva, did you know? Here's my card, call me. It's not that. It's ordinary folks who put others first. So the sutra is full of these inspiring examples of how people do that. And what's involved? Your friends come around less because you're not fun anymore. You don't go out drinking with them. And the Christmas break is not Las Vegas or Reno anymore. But those are friends who maybe will find other friends. And you, meanwhile, are taking care of those friends after they come back, having had their car stolen and their wallet pinched, etc. So, when you get to chapter 39, the last chapter, it takes up 1/4 in size of the whole sutra. So chapters 1 to 38 is the theory, how you do it, how do bodhisattvas practice in theory, stories about these many practices. And chapter 39 is the 1/4, so 3/4 are chapters 1 to 38. One chapter is 1/4 in length of the sutra, but it introduces a hero, a pilgrim comes forward. His name is Sudana. He is a very identifiable, very relatable 20-year-old guy. We get to know him. He's described in great detail, so you kind of get a sense of what he looks like, what he thinks about, his family. He's a poet, for one thing. He receives instructions and talks about his reactions. You can definitely see Sudana progress and develop over the period of the sutra. So it's exciting to be in the midst of this chapter. We started, it was 2 or 3 years ago. We started said, should we try to do chapter 39, Ru Fa Jie Pin, the Ganda Vyuha in Sanskrit, the chapter called Entering the Dharma Realm, or Merging with the Dharma Realm. We said, I don't know, it's really big, it's really long. Why not? We're there, let's do it. Let's find out about Sudana. So we started, and I remember those early on, those Saturday nights, thinking, boy, I remember saying to people, there's inside of chapter 39, the way the Chinese divided up books is by juan, scrolls, because books were there. They didn't have our style of books with a spine that you open. books were on continuous rolls, so it just opened up like this, scroll, so Jen. And the first 2 Jen are preparatory. You don't get the story, you get the preparation before the hero shows up. And I remember saying to people, well, you know, don't want you to get bored. It's really long, so we'll kind of go quickly through the first 2 scrolls till we get to the good part, right? Well, it turns out that once we started going through it, it was all the good part. But that 3rd scroll is where Sudana, Shansai, shows up. And he has now shown up. He's here. We have encountered Sudana, and he gets set out, initiated, you could say, on his pilgrimage by Manjushri Bodhisattva, greatly wise Manjushri, who is said to be the mother of all bodhisattvas. He's the one who nurtures and brings about all the successful bodhisattvas. And Sudana shows up, gets the initiation, and Manjushri says what? He says, I want you to go south and look for a monk. His name is De Yun Bicho, Bhikshu Cloud of Virtues. He will tell you the answer to these questions. You go ask him these questions. Ask him, how does somebody cultivate the bodhisattva path? How does somebody practice bodhisattva practices? He will ask you if you have made the great Bodhi resolve, the great Putishin, Ru Yi Fa Da Putishin Pao. He will ask you that question, and you answer, Wei, or Zao Yi Jing Fa Da Putishin. He's going to say, have you made the great Bodhi resolve? And you're going to say, yes, I have. I have done so. At that point, your instructions will start to flow. You better get your recording app on your phone ready to go, because he's going to start teaching you then. Either that or your spiral notebook and a pencil. But he's going to give you the answer to your questions. Okay? Manjushri says that to him. Sudana, and then he says, go south. Well, Sudana doesn't want to go, because he's just met Manjushri Bodhisattva, who is this unbelievable and astounding teacher. But he is a good student, and he follows instructions. And with that, the epic literature of the Mahayana is underway. So we have come to that part of the sutra. Sudana has gone out. It took him a week of climbing in the mountains. It specifies that he's going up and down mountains looking for clouds of virtues, bhikshu. And finally on the 7th day, he sees him, and he's over on a crag, on a peak over there, strolling around. Sudana is over on this side, so he has to go down into the valley and then make his way back up. And he asks his questions, and Cloud of Virtue says, okay, all right, I'm so glad you're here. I will be happy to teach you what I know. And what does he say? You're up to speed now. This is last week. He says, you know what? He says, I can see Buddhas. I can see 1 Buddha. I can see 10 Buddhas. I can see 100 Buddhas. I can see 1,000 Buddhas. I can see and he starts to add zeros to the end of the number of Buddhas. And the sutra is very specific about the incredible eye-popping number of Buddhas that this bhikshu can see. And he says, not only do I see them, but I see where they're teaching, who is listening to them, who their bodhisattvas are. I can see where they live. I can see the dimensions and the qualities of the lands that they inhabit, right? He's very specifically. And last week we mentioned that there are, in Sanskrit, the language that this sutra was captured in, there's an entire chapter of the sutra devoted to large numbers. So if anybody is a mathematician, if anybody is into theoretical math or physics, that you use a lot of math, you will love the Avatamsaka Sutra, because there are numbers that have names. Right? Does that make sense? You know, we have tens and hundreds and thousands and millions, and billions, we do too. We have numbers that have names. You don't say for 1,000, you don't go 1,000, you say 1,000. Well, in Sanskrit mathematics, they have this huge list of numbers that have names. So last week we got our spreadsheet out and showed all of the numerical places of some of these numbers that have names. You know, to the 27th power, et cetera, 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, 0, 0, 0, comma, like that. So that's where we are. Bhikshu Duyun, Cloud of Virtues, is now finishing up telling Sudana how many Buddhas he sees. Okay, pause, take a breath. How many Buddhas do you see? And you go, well, the screen is blocking the ones in front of us, Dharma Master. Yeah, right, that's true. Those don't work. Those are bodhisattvas. Let's see. How many Buddhas do you see? Well, you could do this. You could turn the light and say there's a Buddha inside. He's on his way out, on his way up. Hasn't arrived yet, but he's there. You could say that. Guan Yin Bodhisattva on the screen. And by the way, how's our new projector? Since I've been away, we got a nice new bright projector. That's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty bright. Good. So, what does it mean for this monk to say, I see Buddhas in this incredible number? Well, good question. What's the difference between me, who doesn't see Buddhas, and Doyen Bicho, and what is he trying to communicate to our pilgrim, to Sudana, that is going to get him where this young man wants to be? Okay, are we ready? Yes, Dharma Master, we're ready. Okay. Glad to hear it. We'll start right here. There we are. Now, we'll just expand it so everybody can see it. There we go. This last week was the list, right? We've got 1 Buddha, 2 Buddhas, 10 Buddhas, 100 Buddhas, 1,000, 100,000, 100 million, billion, 1,000 billion, etc., all the way down to, up to and including Buddhas as many as dust particles in ineffable, untold Buddha lands. 不可说佛刹为陈述那么多, right? That many. So that's those are numbers. Those are actual digits. Okay, so he's continuing, and he says, you ready? We'll go down to there. All right, here we go. Okay, let's begin. How about if I give you a line and you give it back, since you all can do that. Ready? Here we go. 如东方，南西北方，四维上下，亦复如是。于一方中，所有诸佛，种种色相，种种形貌，种种神通，种种游戏，种种众会，庄严道场。Continuing down, here we go. 种种光明无边照耀，种种国度，种种寿命，随助众生，种种心要，示现种种成正觉门，欲大众中而狮子吼。Very good. So nice to hear. Okay, there we are. Get it just right there. Okay, let's do it together, see if we can do unison. Now, unison, remember, what's our technique? Unison, when it sounds good, it's because of the breath. So we don't get many chances to read in unison, so this is a skill that we don't have much. Punctuation is your friend. See that comma? That's a pause. and we pause, we take a beat. The period says take a breath, okay? These dashes, again, that's a breath. The white space here means take a breath, okay? If there's no punctuation, we just keep on going, okay? So, and the best way to read in unison is to use your ears as well as your voice. So listen to the person to the left of you, to the right of you, and let the volume of your voice be heard and not the only voice in the room. Okay, here we go. Let's try it. Ready? As it is in the east, comma, take a breath, so it is in the south, west, north, the four intermediate directions above and below, period, pause. Inhale. In each direction, all of those Buddhas, with their various physical appearances, their various features, their various spiritual powers, their various delights, their various assemblies which adorn the Bodhimandas, their various lights that illumine without limit, their various countries, their various lifespans, accord with the diverse delights in the minds of all beings. They make appear the various methods of accomplishing right awakening. Within the great assembly, they emit the lion's roar. Pause. Stop. Okay, sounds good. What's going on here? Sudana is on the mountain. He's probably balanced on a rocky crag, and he knows he doesn't want to go that way because that's a cliff. And over here, he's watching Doyen Bicho with his full attention. Why? This is his second teacher. Manjushri's the first one. So he is literally all ears, just wanting to get the answer to his question, how to cultivate. He was sent here by Manjushri. He's not going to miss his chance. So he is listening for all he's worth and drinking in the teacher. And what is the teacher doing? The teacher is trying to communicate what he sees because of his cultivation. And if he can say it well, he is just as concerned that Sudana understand as Sudana is to understand. So what we're looking at is a relationship. This is a relationship between teacher and student. Very interesting. This comes in for a lot of energy in the Avatamsaka. The teacher is called a Shanzhishi, right? A Kalyana Mitra, a good spiritual friend. And he has something that the student wants, which is what? The Dharma. He understands wisdom. And he's got to find a way to express it so that Sudana lights up, so that the student gets what's already waiting inside. It's not that there's anything he gives him, it's that he awakens it in the heart of the student. Okay, that's an important thing. Yes, he does want to get the Dharma, but getting it means uncovering something that's already very full and complete in his own heart. However, without the teacher pointing it out, it's always a potential unrealized. So here's the teacher. He says, I see all these Buddhas, so many, so many, so many, and that's only in one direction. That's in the east. But you know what? If we look south, if we look north, if we look west, if we look above and below and in the intermediates, it's the same. Buddhas everywhere. So many Buddhas. Now, he goes into detail. He says, not only do I see Buddhas, but you know what? They all look different. They have zhong. Every time we said zhong, it means all the different kinds of physical appearances. Buddhas can look different. All their various features. Can you imagine what a California Buddha would look like? Probably not. Yeah, no, not that, no. What else? Yeah, California Buddha, probably long hair, like a surfer, right? What else? A surfer or a tech nerd. She's a Silicon Valley girl. That's right. Tech nerd. Probably wouldn't look up from his phone, right? No. Definitely can do without the phone. He's got a real palm top. Yeah. So what would a West African Buddha look like? Somebody from Sierra Leone, huh? Or Mali. Imagine. What would a Buddha from Hangzhou? We know what Buddha's from Hangzhou. We've been looking at him for thousands of years. What about a Buddha from Sydney? Right. Good day, mate. Amitabha. So they have various features. That's the point. Various spiritual powers. They are able to fly through the air. They're able to walk on the water. Arhats can do that. How much the more Buddhas? The various delights. Buddhas have things they like, and yet they don't have anything they don't like. So you got to be careful when you explain this. I remember we visited the Jada Grove, and one of the hosts was an elder bhikshu from the Mahabodhi Society, which is Sri Lankan. They're in charge of the Jada Grove. The monks from Sri Lanka have kept the Jada Grove, the actual Jada Grove, alive in India. And this venerable bhikshu was really fun. He said, "Oh my goodness," he says, "do you know we have some mangoes, and the mango was the Buddha's favorite fruit. It was so delicious because the Buddha's saliva turns every fruit delicious," he said. "It's just so, the very best mangoes come from India, do you know?" He said. And he was so charming and telling us about the Buddha's favorite fruit. And it's like, okay, so we know the Buddha liked mangoes. All the sutras say so, So great fun. Did the Buddha love mangoes? As far as he was concerned, absolutely did. So Master Hua would say, I have no favorites. However, Yobing are really good, he would say. So Manchuria, Yobing, So, okay, Buddhas have delights. Now, if you ask the Buddha what delights him, my guess is the Buddha would say, whatever makes you happy to offer is what delights him. It's not that, in order to have something you love, you have to have a self, right? And the Buddha his self exists in service to living beings. So that's, I think, probably closer to it. I'll never forget mangoes. Apparently, I'm told, now this is for the in crowd, mangoes in India are no joke. In fact, I was visiting with Auntie Nipun's mom, and by the way, Jerry, I don't have any power here. Could somebody trace this and see if I plugged it in there. It's not hooked up somehow. Okay, I will want power at some point. So she was telling me, this is an expert in mango studies, and she said growing up in Gujarat, that there are mangoes there that everybody knows which ones are the best, and they're so expensive that a family may get one per season because there aren't enough to go around. That's why they're so valuable. So, and I asked, thank you, got it, that's it. I asked her and said, is there really a difference? And she said, oh, absolutely there is. So if you get those special mangoes, you don't get many of them, but the family may get a taste, and they're considered, they have names, and everybody knows which ones are from the best trees with the best amount of rainfall, etc. So, okay, various delights. What delights the Buddha? What delights those people he's teaching, those living beings. Okay, each of those innumerable Buddhas has assemblies that adorn the Bodhi mandas. Each of those limitless Buddhas emit different lights that shine out, some from between their eyebrows, some from their knees, some from the palms of their hands. This Avatamsaka Sutra has this amazing quality. The sutra was explained, Qi Chu Jiu Hui, 7, oops, it went away again. You know that, you took it apart, okay. Qi Chu Jiu Hui, it was explained in 9 different assemblies in 7 different places. The Jada Grove was one of those places where the Buddha explained it twice. So this is a large sutra. There we go. So in the Avatamsaka, it went away again. In each of those 9 assemblies, the Buddha emitted light from different parts of his body. It's like you go, okay. Some from the soles of his feet, others from his knees, right, on up his body. And finally, for this assembly, the Avatamsaka, the entering the Dharma realm, he released light from the crown of his head. So anybody who recites the Shurangama mantra knows about the light from the crown of the head. Buddhas appear in different countries with different lifespans, and in everything that they teach in those countries, they accord with the delights in the minds of beings. That's key to teaching. If you don't enjoy it, you won't pick it up. If you don't enjoy it, you won't learn it. So they accord with what we like in our hearts as they teach the Dharma. They make appear various methods of accomplishing right awakening. Okay, key word, various methods. Okay, how to wake up. What Buddhas teach is how to wake up. And this last line, I like it. Within the great assembly, they emit the lion's roar. Now, why lion's roar? Why does it specify the lion's roar? Has anybody been, when was the last time you went to the Oakland Zoo? Anybody? Recently? Nice zoo. Oakland has a nice zoo. Do they have lions? Are there good lions? Yes? Anybody been there recently? Go to the Oakland Zoo and ask them about feeding time, and show up at feeding time and experience a lion's roar. If it wasn't for, rock and roll and jet engines, roaring lions would be the loudest natural sound after thunder. Thunder can rattle your windows, right? Anybody been through an earthquake? Ooh, everything's loud. But in nature, when lions roar, they have this huge chest. They got this giant throat, and they. If you see MGM movies, right, the lion like that, so you get a sense of it. You can go onto YouTube and watch lions roar. Click on roaring lion. So it's loud, but it's not only the volume. Why is the Buddha speaking Dharma given a lion's roar as the analogy for that? It's because the Dharma comes out and it's true. It's the truth of the Dharma that makes it loud, meaning nothing more to say when you hear the Dharma. Master Yongjia, in his Song of Enlightenment, he goes, 狮子吼，无畏说，百兽闻之皆闹裂，向上本波是权威，天龙悉听生心悦。 There it is, the lion's roar, an awesome, fearful sound. The many beasts hear it and tremble on the ground. The demons and the baddies, they lose their special style. the gods and the dragons hear it, and they smile, right? So that's the lion's roar. It carries the message of the Dharma. And when you hear it, there's like no lawyer can step in there and make you believe that Michael Cohen, never mind, I won't go there, not going to go there. So the lion's roar, it is truth and truth. And when you hear it, it's like, sometimes the truth is hard to hear. It doesn't have to be loud in volume, it's loud in truth. All right, so all these Buddhas are there speaking with the lion's roar. Okay, now, at this point, something special happens, which is cloud of virtues, Bhikshu cloud of virtues, is now teaching. He's in teaching mode now. And this pattern that we're about to witness happens 52 times. Every time Sudana goes to the next good and wise advisor, Shanzhishi, Kalyana Mitra, there's a pattern that emerges. And all you have to do is read 2 or 3 encounters and you go, oh, this is similar, right? So what he has just done is he's told Sudana that his special method for waking up, his jie man, his gateway to liberation, is in what's called nianfo, mindfulness of the Buddha. Literally, his mind is full of all these Buddhas. That's his particular accomplishment. And he said, hey, did you know what? I can see all these Buddhas. What happens next is he says, and now I'm going to teach you how to do it too. That's the pattern that occurs over and over, because why? This is instruction. This is, hold on one second. Oops, a cramp. There we go. This is the good stuff this is the answer to Sudana's question. This is what he was hoping to get. Now, in this case, each time that the teachers teach is something different. As we go on, I think we're up to like teacher number 42 or something, and he teaches in silence. He doesn't say a word, and that's Sudana's instruction. Guanyin Bodhisattva happens in the 20s among the 50-some teachers. Guanyin teaches him about fearlessness, shi wu wei pusa, and compassion. Da bei guan shi yin. So, Cloud of Virtues teaches what's called nianfo, how to be mindful of the Buddha. And as I was looking at this, I was thinking, wow, mindfulness. Oh, mindfulness, yeah. That's big now in the world. So here's the Avatamsaka Sutra teaching us about mindfulness. So what can we learn about this? Okay, let's dig into it. We'll do this paragraph and then this paragraph, just to get started. That is, I highlighted it for the translation, so here we go. We'll go from here down to here. Okay. Are we ready? I'll give you a line, you give it back. Ready? 善男子，我唯得此，意念一切诸佛境界，智慧光明，普见法门，岂能了知诸大菩萨无边智慧，清净横门。Okay, that's a question. Now, this is the first of 21 to come. Ready? 所谓智光普照念佛门，常见一切诸佛国度，种种宫殿，悉言禁锢。Alrighty, that sounded good. You're getting more confident in your reading of the sutra. That's great. How does the sutra sound coming out of your mouth? Right? Your mouth spoke it, your ears are hearing it, your eyes are watching it. That's cool. The Avatamsaka Sutra. All right. We're going to do from here to here. All right? We're going to do it in unison. Here we go. Ready? Good man. And gender neutral. If you want to say good woman, it works. Ready? Good man. I have only attained this Dharma method of recollecting the Buddha's states of wisdom, light, and universal vision. But how could I possibly know the methods of practice of great bodhisattvas and their boundless pure wisdom? That is to say, there is the method of mindfulness of the Buddha with a universally shining wisdom light, where you can always see the adornments and purity of the palaces in Buddha countries. Okay, there's a lot there. Let's unpack it. So he says, good man, good woman, doesn't matter. This is instructions. Here's the Dharma coming down. This is the transmission from Bhikshu, Clouds of Virtue, to Sudana, who is kneeling there listening for all he's worth. He says, me, myself, my method is it's just this. They're all very humble. All I know is this Dharma method, which is called remembering the Buddha's states of wisdom, light, and seeing everything. That's the name of they all have these esoteric names. And then he says, here's what you do. He says, I know that, but you know, other bodhisattvas, what they know, I can't know that. They always say that. All I know is this one way to wake up and become a Buddha. What they know, I can't get there. So there's a humility in every teacher. And when he's done, he sends him on to the next one. Okay. However, if I were to tell you what my method is, there is a method of mindfulness of the Buddha. That's the boilerplate. That happens 21 times. With a universally shining wisdom light, where you can always see the adornments and purity of the palaces in Buddha countries. It's like, whoa, okay. He says, when I practice my method, this is what I see. There is a light. It shines everywhere. It's a light that has to do with wisdom. And this light shines out, and what I can see are Buddha countries, let's say Amitabha's Pure Land, Medicine Buddha's Eastern Lapis Lazuli land, where everything is pure, where it's adorned, and I can see it all. That's a Buddha mindfulness method. Do you want that one, Sudana? I'll teach it to you, he says. Okay? Now, you go, that's interesting. It's like his samadhi, perhaps, or his attainment, his purity is such that in his mind, he is able to see Buddha lands and the Buddhas in them with all those details. There's that. Okay, from here, look, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 21 in all. 21 methods of nian for, of seeing the Buddha in your mind. Okay. Now, what I did was I went out and put together all the, here we go. Oop. See if what happens when we do that. We need it bigger. Okay. All 21 things that Sudana was taught. These are instructions for variations of mindfulness of the Buddha. He wants to teach Sudana the varieties of mindfulness. This is in-depth instruction from an expert. Okay, let's take a pause here. So let's say you come to Berkeley Monastery. It's Saturday afternoon, and you've had lunch, and Jin Forsher is waiting here in the Buddha Hall with a Dijung. He's got a wooden fish, and he's got a bell, and he's going, Amitofo, 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 right? The way you do. And it's like everybody gets high on Amitofo, Amitofo. It's really cool. And everybody's, it's just like, remember in kindergarten when you got to kick the can or hit the wooden block, you know, and you could make all the noise you wanted. It was so much fun. People come in the Buddha Hall and they get to pound on a wooden fish and make all this noise. It's great fun, great fun. That's the outside. What are you doing in your mind when you're going, Amitovo, Amitovo, Amitovo? Bhikshu Cloud of Virtues would have you, every time you say Amitofo, see Amitofo. Not just one, but tens, hundreds, thousands, etc. And each one with their multiple characteristics and their multiple virtues and their multiple disciples and their, right? In great detail. That's what he can do. Because why? His mind is pure and quiet. And he's practiced. How cool. He's saying, Sudana, I'm going to teach you how to do that. Here's one when he says, I've learned this. I can see the Buddha states of wisdom. I don't know what the other bodhisattvas know, but that doesn't matter. I've got a method of mindfulness with a universally shining wisdom light that shows you adornments and purity of the palaces and Buddha countries. How about that, kid? You know, Sudana's going, I don't see that, but I'd like to. Okay. All right, that's one of 21 of these. They just go on and on. All these subtle details of what you can do in your mind to see the Buddha. Now, question, why do you want to see the Buddha? What's the point of that? I cannot answer from experience because I don't see the Buddha in my mind, but I have heard from people who do that to see the Buddha, you feel very comfortable. 很自在. You feel, to describe it, hold on one second, I'm struggling with my cramping legs here. What it feels like is you're home. There's nowhere else to go. You don't want to be anywhere else than right there in the fullness of yourself. Because the Buddha is a person who took all the coverings off his mind or her mind, and now it shines. They describe it as like 1,000 suns. That's what the mind is like when it's uncovered. When you came face to face with our teacher, some people would describe something like that state, where it's just inconceivably bright. And of course, what shows up in that bright light is all your flaws, all your shadows, all your crooked places, and it's not always super comfortable until you yourself let go of those knots in your nature and the afflictions and the coverings and the opinions and the attitudes and the biases and the prejudices and in general what's called wuming, ignorance. But when that ignorance yields, and if you take a flashlight into a cave that's been dark for 10,000 years, you turn that flashlight on and the darkness goes away in a single flashlight beam. Doesn't matter how long the darkness has been there. So seeing the Buddha is like that. It's like, finally, I know who I am and I'm not different from anybody. I am the same as every living being. How wonderful that must be, right? So that's what it means to see the Buddha, according to theory, as I understand it. So, very cool. So, now I put it out here also, so we could see here. Here we're going to start here. Okay, so here is Sudana. He's a pilgrim. Can't see that. There's a pilgrim. This thing is in the way. There he is. Here's Manjushri. Anybody know where this is? Where is this taken from? Angkor Wat? Nope. Close. 4 points. 5 points. Ding. Borobudur. Angkor Wat would be another, but probably the same, within the same 100 years. So this is Borobudur in Indonesia. And this is a frieze, F-R-I-E-Z-E, that tells all of the stories of Sudana's 53 visits. And this is Manjushri sending him off. So that's him. That's Sudana, youth, good wealth. He gets instructions from Bhikshu Cloud of Virtue, who gives him 21 methods. Subtle differences, but just so cool. He says, I've only got this Dharma method of remembering the Buddha states of wisdom light that I see everywhere. How could I know the methods of those great bodhisattvas and their boundless pure wisdom? Anyway, since I'm here teaching you, let me give you what I know, he says. There is the method of mindfulness of the Buddha, ... 21 methods follow. A universally shining wisdom light that allows you to see the adornments and purity of palaces in Buddha countries. Right? Neat. That's one. So, the reason why I broke these down and wanted to isolate them is because the sutra really delivers. This is instructions from an expert to a student who wants to know. Sudana really wants to know how to become a Buddha, ultimately. And Manjushri set him on the road, got him started, and he pointed him to this monk. This monk is a cultivator. He is a Xiu Dao de Ren. He is someone who cultivates the way. And his particular method is Nianfo, being mindful of the Buddha. Numbers 2, number 3, 4, 5, up to 50, different. They have, each of them have different methods. His method is, now we're familiar with Buddha recitation. It's called Nianfo Famen, right? The method of Buddha recitation. So here's the point that I want to make. Mindful means you are using your mind. Your mind is full of something. What is it? In this case, it's Buddhas. So if we don't have a good idea of what a Buddha is like, then we're just going, Amitofo, Amitofo, Ami, which is good enough. The Pure Land Amitabha's method says that's all you need. Even better, however, if we can visualize, see with a universally shining wisdom light, something about the Buddha that we can visualize. Now, this is called Guanxiang, right? Contemplation. There's also Guanxiang, contemplating an image. This is actually Guanxiang. He's giving us something to hang on to, which is, in a Buddha land, what would a palace, the adornments of a palace, look like? You can imagine, right? Borobudur. Maybe it looks like sandstone. Maybe, like this. Is that a Buddha? Yeah, maybe so. That's something, isn't it? It's been around since, I guess, the 12th century in Indonesia. And okay, well, that gives us something to look at. I was on Friday evenings now. If you're in Australia, it's Saturday noon. I'm explaining another pilgrim, and it's Master Empty Cloud, Xu Yun Lao和尚. Master Empty Cloud has just completed his pilgrimage from Putoshan in the South China Sea all the way up to the north of China to Wutaishan. And Wutaishan is in Shanxi province, way up north. And the segment, Master Hua commissioned an artist to draw 200 illustrations illustrating the life of Master Empty Cloud, our grand teacher, his teacher. You can get 200 episodes out of his life because he lived to be 120 years old. So, So in yesterday's episode, he made it to Wutaishan, and it specifies that he went to Xiantong Si. And Xiantong Si is famous in Wutaishan, the mountain with 5 platforms, 5 vistas, because the palaces, the Daochang, the monasteries there, preserved ancient architecture, so unique and amazing that scholars, historians, architects, archaeologists go to Wutaishan to study the way the eaves were made, often without nails. Just they were so good at their construction that they were able to build these monasteries in incredible, ornate detail, and they survived. They made it. The Cultural Revolution couldn't destroy them. So that's where Master Empty Cloud went, and we got there yesterday. I was showing people the pictures. So you can visualize. Now, Master Hua, Shifu, our teacher, came to America, and what Ming Dynasty monasteries did he have to work from? None. 0. As a result, my first 5 years as a monk was in a converted mattress factory on 15th Street in the Mission District. San Francisco's oldest, at the time it was a Hispanic ghetto. Now it's a yuppie ghetto, right? So, and in a mattress factory with red bricks. The second year we were there, we had to retrofit it for earthquakes. So I learned how to be an electrician's apprentice. I learned how to carry mud for bricklayers, learned trades. From Gold Mountain Monastery, we moved to International Translation Institute, which is a converted savings and loan building down in Murchison Drive in Burlingame, a bank. So I spent my next 3 years as a monk in a bank. From that point, we moved to 1995 to this building here, which is a church from 1898. This is Berkeley's 4th oldest wooden structure, believe it or not. So, and if the floors, if you go into the back, those are the original floors. The pastor lived upstairs. And on all sides of this building, we have photographs, farms. Farms in Berkeley, anybody? Berkeley Farms Dairy? You all live in the Silicon Valley, you don't know. Farms in Berkeley, for years, Berkeley Farms Dairy on the sides of the buses. There were farms in Berkeley. This was the church. You build the church first. That's why we are 1 block from the city hall, 1 block from the police station, 1 block from the library, 1 block from the YMCA, right? So, yeah. So I've lived in a mattress factory, a bank, a church. In Vancouver, where we went later, it was the Salvation Army building. We had a YMCA. We have a converted mental health hospital. City of 10,000 Buddhas is a hospital. So what do you do if you don't have moving forward, moving forward. If you don't have the purity and the adornments of palaces, you use bank buildings, you use YMCAs. Bit by bit, you build what will become monasteries for the West. Okay, bit by bit, they're arriving. So, next week, we have the next story of how he practiced mindfulness successfully. We'll pick it up right there. Okay, so let's reflect mindfulness as a thing in itself, as a method of teaching, is something new, particularly here in the West. And often it's a technique, present moment, learning to focus on the breath, etc. When we get to Bhikshu Cloud of Virtues, he has very specific, detailed instructions for how to be mindful. And that's for Sudana and us as well. Hold on here. Never stop reciting. Here it is. All right. Buddha named eternal light vows to save creation, made a land where suffering's gone, a place of liberation. So use his vows and be reborn. Notice flowers delighting, simply keep his name in mind. Never stop reciting. Saha land is a place of pain, struggle and contention. Find a world of utmost bliss. You first set your intention. Those men or women, rich or poor, rebirth not delighting, apply themselves with a single mind. Never stop reciting. I praise the Buddha's compassionate vows, with melodies unending. Body lives in the world of woe. The heart is world transcending. With bodhisattvas joyful, I'll soon be reuniting, till I reach Amitabha's land. Never stop reciting, till I reach Amitabha's land. Never stop reciting. Namo Amitabhu, Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amitabha, Namo Never stop reciting. So, different methods, right? And it's enough, it is enough to just recite the name. And traditionally, they give us what? They give us Guan Xiang, and Shi Sheng Nianfo. So you contemplate, Guan Xiang is to contemplate, like Bhikshu Cloud of Virtues. You can contemplate the Buddha's appearance. You can contemplate the way he teaches. You can contemplate his the things that he knows we like. So he gives them to us, right? All the different things. Or you can Guan Xiang Fa Men. You can visualize the Buddha's appearance. Ami Tofo Shen Jin Si, Xiang Hao Guang Ming Yi Wu Lun, right? Yi Wu Bi. His golden body, his hair that curls to the right, the lights that he emits. Then there's the other one called the 10 recitations. You just recite the Buddha's name 10 times in a single breath. Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, right? And 10. The idea is to get to a place where there's yi nian, 就说 one thought, unconfused, so that there's no extraneous rambling thoughts in the mind. That's when it connects. So this bhikshu succeeded. He did it. He made it all the way to Buddhahood that way. And he is now teaching Sudana how to do it. So we're going to see that pattern 20 more times starting next week. And then what happens? The monk goes, that's it. That's all I know. If you want to know the real story, you got to go south. Find Hai Yun Bhikshu, Ocean Cloud monk, and he's going to teach you. So each of the teachers passes Sudana on to the next one. Fascinating how they don't compete, they don't fight, they're not jealous, they don't say it was rigged, right? They're very straight. All righty. Good enough. Everybody knows about Buddha Root Farm? Is it too late? No. Last chance, though. Last day, I told you. Buddha Root Farm. Last chance to register, but I thought I should tell you this. Here it is. Go to Buddha Root Farm. There it is, right there. And .org. And you can find out about cultivating in the Oregon woods. Now, it involves camping. So if you think you might be interested in this, go to this website because you need to understand what's happening. It's June 22nd to June 29th. We will be doing a Guanyin recitation, reciting Guanyin's name, but we live and camp and eat outdoors. It's quite wonderful because we're beyond cell phone coverage, we're beyond Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi, so you can hold your phone, but it won't be a smartphone. You shower outdoors. It's magnificent. We're in the Oregon coastal mountains. Very few humans have been there before us. So we have There's COVID protocols. There is silence if you choose. You will be contributing work there, service for the community. Everybody does, and it makes for an incredible experience of joy. So is this number 16? 16th time, I think, right? That we've had Buddha Root Farm. I think, or maybe it might be 17. I don't recall what last year was. So just outstanding experience in the Oregon woods. ORG. Master Hua took us there in 1975, and we have been going back ever since. You can see the natural setting there. And if you don't enjoy the great outdoors, you won't be happy. But even people who have never spent a night under the stars, by about the third night, think, I just don't want to go home. This is too good. So there it is. You saw that. Here's the application, and this is the last chance to sign up. There you go, Buddha Root Farm. What have I found here? Oh, that's very nice. Okay, there we go. We will stop here for tonight. Thank you all for giving me your Saturday night, looking into the Avatamsaka Sutra. It's like nothing else in the world. This is the story, epic literature of the Mahayana. Sudana goes out and in a single lifetime becomes awake. He wakes up. But he has to sweat. It's not for free. The sutra shows us Sudana's hard work that he puts in his pilgrimage. So, all righty. We're going to finish with a dedication of merit, the way we do every week. And I want to say how much I appreciate the hard work of everyone making this possible, to get it out to YouTube and in Chinese and Vietnamese, and it's, they say, gong bu tang juan, not a bit of that merit and virtue is wasted. Please make a wish. I'll mention that tomorrow night at 7:30, I will be lecturing on another piece of the Avatamsaka Sutra, the 10 Transferences chapter. And to find it, you go out to YouTube and you look for CTTB Live, City of 10,000 Buddhas, CTTB Live, and here it is. And when you get there, you look for playlists, and the playlists will take you to 10 transferences. There it is. And it will be live in 22 hours. Hey, how about that? That's the lectures. We've done a lot of them. And, 57 of them. And it's more of the Avatamsaka. And for dessert, you could say, for those of you who have the fortitude to sit through the whole lecture, at the end, I tell stories from the pilgrimage of Master Xuanzang, who was this incredible historical monk from the Tang who went to India from China in search of sutras. He found them, 300 scrolls, brought them back across the Himalayas, across the Taklamakan Desert, all the way back to Chang'an, and he translated them, and they are some of our favorite sutras. So that's Master Xuanzang. We tell his biography. So every week I get to share the stories of Master Empty Cloud, Sudana the Pilgrim, and Master Xuanzang. How wonderful. And all in the context of Master Hsuan Hua, who was the pilgrim bringing the Dharma to the West. Let's make a wish, send out the goodness, dedication of merit. Here we go. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can finally unity, they are miles away to bring compassion, wisdom, and to may kindness find reward. May all sorrow be their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassion and one. May all become compassion and one. Alrighty. Why don't you, right from where you're sitting, you can join me in making 3 half bows if you care to. So I'm afraid if I stand up, I might keel over. So here we go. So we can bow right from our seat. Okay, 3 bows. Third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for tonight. See you all next week. Amitofo. Be mindful of the Buddha.